I'm live. Let's go play some ukulele music today. I'm glad you're here. I am Eek. I have not updated the page today. Link to join. I better get this over on the other. Oh, wait. I better do this. Hold on. I got to post this on the website, and everybody's going to be going to the wrong place. So hold on one sec. Hold on. I forgot to do this earlier today. Oops. They're all going to be like, what the heck are you doing, Gary? Get your act together. Let's see. I need to paste these guys here. Come on. There. Control V. Okay. I want to update that. And then I should be able to make this go away. Boom. And then this one go away. Boom. And this one go away. Boom. And then I got to come back to you guys. And I have to copy this again. Copy. And then I gotta go back over. This is why getting up late or having a meeting first thing in the morning is not to my benefit, because then everybody's like, "What the heck are you doing, Gary?" All right, let's get them coming over here to the correct spot. Update, and now there's the update button. Update. All right, so hopefully that'll solve the problem. Let me go in and make sure that this is solved. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Brigitta. All right, let's get everybody in here. Hey, Nancy. Happy Wednesday to you. Sorry, I probably sent you to the wrong spot initially. Let me just make sure we're now going to the right spot. Oh, gosh. Always something. Let's see. Click. All right, now we're all set up. Phew. I always try to do that. Like, I wake up. That's my morning thing. Get a cup of coffee. Open up my 3 websites. Take yesterday's stuff off, prepared for the day. But today I had an 8 o'clock meeting with people for the building, and messed me up. So you guys get in, settle down, sit down. We'll start here in a minute or two. And good morning, Evelyn. And we'll get everybody fired up and ready to rock. Oh, if you are watching this recording, our website is jollyrogerukulele.com. It is a lovely place. It's full of sheet music and lessons and fun people. And what else is there? That's it. That's all that's there. All right. So Monday. This would have been Tuesday, October 6th. Is today the 7th? Yeah. All right. All right, so now, finally up to speed at Jolly Roger Ukulele for the day. Everything is good. Everything else will be perfect for the day. Hey, Donna, welcome in. Melissa, howdy. Melissa, I always see your name as Melissa Valentine. So I always think that you have the perfect. But Bantine reminds me of what's the Fantine? I'm thinking of Les Mis. I grabbed my Logi out of the closet. I haven't been playing it. I'm mad at it. It always sounds lovely, but I don't know. I'm mad at it. All right, let's play. All right, so today we are working on, what do we call it? Your fretboard and your C major scale. So grab out the paper that says C major scale on it, and I will pull up my piece of sheet music in here. What we're looking to do today is sometimes people come to ukulele with music background and sometimes they don't. And so I use this class as the sort of the basics of music theory, and to get you comfy with what we're talking about when we talk about an A note or a C note, or when we talk about a scale or a key or that type of thing. We're also going to talk briefly about where the notes are on your fretboard and why it doesn't matter that you don't necessarily know the names for everything. So today is a little bit less about playing and a little bit more about stuffing a bunch of knowledge into your noggin. And hopefully, what I say will make some sense, at least to get you started so that you feel a little more knowledgeable as an instrumentalist. When you're a singer, your job is to hit the right notes with your voice, and then we back you up with chords. Three blind mice, and that's most singers don't get much in the way of music theory, which is disappointing. But they don't really have to. Meanwhile, as instrumentalists, we really do have to know a little bit about music in order for it to go well for us. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. It is Vantine. Like Valentine. Oh, Vantine. Oh, now I know. All right, so Vantine. All right, nice. Everybody plays at Vantine. It's when people see my name, they're like, Gary. All right, it's Vantine. Oh, I won't remember that, Melissa. We'll just go with Melissa. How about that? All right, now let's talk about your scale. On a ukulele, you have this high string, right? And it's out of whack because there's supposed to be a low string, then a not so low string, then a little bit higher string, and then the high string. That's how a low G ukulele is set up, and that's what this one is. Bum 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 bum. But on your ukulele, which you almost certainly have a high G string here, that's what makes it a ukulele. Otherwise, it's just sort of a little miniature guitar. But you have that sound is the string on the top. It makes a high G string. And the thing that's nice about that is that when you strum down, you hit a high string. And when you strum up, you're going to hit this high string. And so it's a very happy feeling that high G ukulele has. If you get a low G ukulele like this one, then they replace the higher string with a lower string. Now, don't think you can go to take any ukulele and change strings willy-nilly. You can put a plastic low G string on any ukulele. They usually don't sound very good, but you can do it. But what you can't do is put a metal wound low G string on a ukulele that was built to be high G. I've done it 3 times and I've broken 3 ukuleles. You'd want to, this metal string is just too strong for a ukulele that's built for high G. And what this will do is ultimately it'll collapse your ukulele and break it right here. And so don't think you can switch them. You can put a plastic low G string on, it's just not going to sound good. And so when you call the company that made your ukulele and you say, can I put a low G string on it? They say, yes, but they don't tell you the consequences of that. So if you end up putting a metal one on, you destroy your ukulele, and if you put a plastic one on, your ukulele doesn't sound any good. So just keep a high G string on it. When you're ready for a low G ukulele, buy one that's built to handle a metal string. They're usually about $500 ish, so you can get them a little maybe $450, up to, of course, whatever crazy number this one was. And so they have to build the instrument specifically to handle the pressure of the low G string. So we're going to only talk about the key of C, and I'm busy looking for, what in the heck do I call that? Because I don't have it sitting here and punching me in the face. I call it fretboard. Ukulele scales. Oh, okay, duh. So what we want to do is build your first scale and then talk about why that's important. Ukulele posture, ukulele, do I not have it? I don't need it. All right, I don't need it. Let's talk about the, are you Gert? Yes, I am you Gert. It's a Germans say the J is like, yeah, Hugert, Hugert. When I lived in New Mexico, they pronounced J's with an H, so I was Hugert all the time. Mr. Hugert. Yeah, mostly everybody says Juggert, right? Which is fine. All right. Let's dig into your scales. First 3 notes on playing the C scale, you'll see there's a piano up there. It says middle C, black notes, white notes. We'll talk about those in just a second. Then underneath that, you see the standard notation. There's a section that says low G ukes, and that's for a low G ukulele. Then you say, then it says, this is where you find the C major scale on your ukulele. And both low G ukulele and high G ukulele have the same scale sitting there for C. And so we're going to work on that one. And then there's some extra notes here. I took you up to 7. There's obviously even more extra notes than that up here. But generally, when you're first starting, you're rarely going to go above 8. And I just didn't have room to put the 8 on there. All right. So the first string I want you to pluck, third string, that's this one. Remember, they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to take your third string and pluck it open. And on the tablature, you will see that 0 on the third string is a C. And that makes sense, right? George Clooney eats apples. There's your C. That is also, if you look up at the piano, that is a middle C on the piano. And it truly is the same sound as your piano. In the middle C would make that tone. Your middle C, because this instrument is tuned to middle C, is real friendly to piano music, which is a lovely asset to have in this instrument. You've got your C note, and then if you look at the piano, there's a black note and then a white note. Well, now we're going to look at that next white note, and that's a D. So the black note would be this one, but the white note is a 2 on that same string, and that's a D. Okay, so if we played the CD song, you would play open middle, open middle, open middle, open middle. Okay, so that's the first 2 notes in the C scale. Next, we have to play E, F, and G. So we're going to start on the E string, play that open. That makes sense, right? E. And then we're going to play index finger on 1. That's F. And the 3, your ring finger on that same string is a G. Now, they could have named the notes anything they wanted to, but they named them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you start over. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Piano has 8 of those on there. Your ukulele has 1.5-ish of those. Okay, so we have fewer notes, which makes it probably means that we get to do more interesting things in order to fit songs onto here. Okay, so let's play C, D, E, F, G. I'm going to play 0 on the third string, 2 on the second string, 2 on the third string, sorry. Open on the second string, 1 on the second string, and 3 on the second string. Okay, let's do that together. 1, 2, ready, play. 0, 2, 0, 1, 3. One more time, go. 0, 2, 0, 1, 3. And one more time. 0, 2, 0, 1, 3. Next notes are A, B, C. Those are on the first string notes. You're written on the high string on your tablature. You were at 0, 2, 3 on this low, on the string that's on the bottom of your ukulele, top of the tablature. Let's play 0, 2, 3. A, B, C. Okay. A, B, C. Now my voice has the ability to sing as A, but when it starts to get to B, I'm starting to run out of ability to sing it. And when I get to C, I have no way to get my voice there. So I know that my comfort range is going to be from A below there. And that means my ukulele is going to be my trusty friend to play these higher notes, and I hopefully will never have to sing them. And as you've heard from what little singing I've done, it's atrocious. Okay, let's play all the way from the bottom to the top. We're going to play C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Nice and slow. Start on your third string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 2. Next string down. Oh, 1, 3. Next string down. Oh, 2, 3. There's your first C scale. Let's do it again from the top. 1, 2, ready, play. Oh, 2, oh, 1, 3. Oh, 2, 3. Double checking in with you. You've got your ukulele up against your body. You have your neck 45, 50, 60 degree angle somewhere in here. Your thumb is not visible to me. And you're using, if it's a 1, you're using your index finger. If it's a 2, you're using your middle finger. And if it's a 3, you're using your ring finger. That's good posture then. Okay, from the top, one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 2, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3. Okay, and obviously you could keep going, but then you're starting a whole new scale up there. Okay, so now let's go into the next idea, which is when you get to the high C, I want you to turn around and immediately come back. So you're going to start on the high 3, then you're going to go back to the 2, and you're going to play open, then you're going to play a 3, then you play a 1, play an open, then a 2, then open. Okay, let's go from the low C to the high C. Immediately turn around and come back. Don't play the high C twice. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 2, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3, 2, 0, 3, 1, 0, 2, 0. Let's do it again one more time, a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 2, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3, 2, 0, 3, 1, 0, 2, 0. One more time, a little faster. 1, 2, ready, play. 0, 2, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3, 2, 0, 3, 1, 0, 2, 0. I blew it. Let's go one last time, even faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, how are we playing? Are we playing pretty smooth? Is it making sense? Is it coming out of your ukulele like a thing of beauty that is intended it to be? What we're really focusing in on here, guys, is playing a scale. There are rules. We want. Bridget says, "Good, got it." Okay, so we've learned our good posture. We've learned how to read tablature. We've learned all these good habits, playing 1s with your index, 2s with your middle, 3 with here. But what we're really working on is beginning to build you a musician brain, which is, hey, all these notes sound like they belong together. Okay, and when all the notes belong together, if you just play all those notes, you're never going to hit a bad note. Okay, so if you pull up to a piano and you only play the white notes and you start on a C, everything's going to sound fine. If you only play the black notes, it's a different scale. That's a pentatonic scale. Everything sounds fine. What happens when you play a scale incorrectly, you'll get something that sounds terrible. And that one note I hit a 4 instead of a 3, and it doesn't belong there. So you'll find collections of notes belong together, and it's a very mathematical and predictable pattern that they use to fit all those things together. If you were playing any other instrument than this one, scales would be a part of your life. Every single brass player, every single reed player, violin players, piano players, they all play scales. It's one of those things that classical guitar, you play scales. In rock guitar, you actually use scales. On electric guitars, they're a little bit set up a little bit differently, but you really do use those. Jazz guitarists know all of their scales. And so other instruments spend a lot of time working on this. In ukulele, we usually don't even talk about it because we're mostly doing chords and strumming. But you as an instrumentalist, we want you to start to come to get some general understanding of this. Now let's take a brief tour of that piano keyboard, because it's sitting, see how nice the piano keyboard looks? There's some white notes, there's some black notes, there's a pattern repeats, it's all lovely. All of that stuff is actually on your ukulele as well. It's just you can't tell because everything is brown. So let's start with this note here. Again, your open C. Okay, and that's your middle C on the piano. The next note is a black note on the piano, and that's C sharp. It's right here. The next note's a D, and it's right here. That's part of your C scale. The next note's a black one on the piano, and that's your D sharp. Okay. Next one is an E. That's your second string open. Notice there's no black note between E and F, and that's why you can use the very next fret. The next note on your piano is an F sharp. That's this note right here. Next note here is a G. That's the white one. Next to the G note is a black key. That's a G sharp. Okay. Next note is an A. Okay, they just started over. They went up to G and started over on A. Don't worry about it. You can't fix it now. That's what we're doing. A is your bottom string. Next to the A is an A sharp. On B, or on ukulele, we more popularly refer to as a B flat. Okay. Next note is a B. And notice there's no black note between B and C, and so you don't skip an extra fret. It's right there. C. Okay. You have a D, E, F, G, A. Now, you tune your ukulele, George Clooney Eats Apples. If you held a bar down on number 12, you also have George Clooney Eats Apples. It's just the next octave up on the piano. So that's why this and this sound the same, but they're an octave apart. And an octave is from middle C to the next C up. That's an octave. All right. All right. So far, not too many people are losing their minds. All right. So now, learn underneath the tablature there. I wrote you some general guidelines. Learn some effective techniques for each hand when you are playing ukulele. For the most part, if you are down here on the first 4 frets, index finger is going to handle most of the notes on 1. Middle finger is going to handle most of the notes on 2. Ring finger is going to handle most of the notes on 3. And you really do have to talk yourself into, when you see a 4, to use your pinky. It's not at all pleased about that, but it will end up being better for you long term to play your 4s with your pinky. I used to always play them with my ring, and that pulls my whole hand out of playing position, which means my next notes are going to get messed up. Okay. One of the uses for a scale is just to warm your hands up in the mornings. See how fast you can play it. Not that fast, obviously, but see how fast you can play it, and just get where it's. Although those notes are sounding good and clean and clear and crisp, and a nice way to just warm up your left hand. Now, we talk about this piano keyboard and you needing to memorize it. You really do. If anything in music that you gotta stick in your noggin, it's the order of notes on a piano keyboard, because the same order of notes happens here, and that way when Gary says this is a C chord, let's slide up to a D chord, you know that that's 2 notes away, and now you have a D chord. And so memorizing the piano keyboard is something that is going to be helpful to you. Let's take a look at the bottom of your paper. You have the main notes on your fretboard. And I want to talk about a few of those just to let you know what I think is important and to get you thinking more like a musician than just somebody who's plucking at numbers. You're on the second page. You have ukulele fretboard. You also have it on your major scales page. So whichever one you find more convenient to look at is fine. I gave you both of them. So we're looking at both PDFs for today. So what we're looking at here is the names of the notes. And some players come and they've got previous musical experience and they really have to know where the notes are on the fretboard. I tell you, I took lots and lots of years of music. When I found out this instrument, when I found this one, I realized I don't really care what the notes are. I just need to know what the shapes are of my hands, and then I'll be able to play, which has turned out to be true. But some people really need to know the names of the sounds that are coming off of their ukulele, and so we're going to talk about those very briefly here. So if I pluck the 4 strings, I got George Clooney eats apples. Okay, so I got A for apples. Okay, so A is here. Looking at your fretboard, you'll notice B is here. Okay, between A and B is a fret you skip, and that fret is either going to be A sharp. Okay, so if you go up from a note, it becomes a sharp, and if you come down, it's a flat. So it's either an A sharp or a B flat. Well, which is it, Gary? It depends on the song. It depends on the situation. Most of the time in ukulele, that's going to be a B flat. Occasionally, you'll see it listed as an A sharp, especially if you're wandering the internet and you're pulling off chords and lyrics pages. It is very normal for them to list A sharps and when they should be listing B flats. Okay, most internet musicians are not as well trained or as thoughtful or careful about getting everything correct music theory wise, and so A sharps show up all over the place on the internet when they really mean B flat. Okay, so that's that note. Here's a B. Next note is a C, and that makes sense, right? Because that's your C chord. Highest note is a C, makes sense. Next note, you have a skip here. It's again either a C sharp or a D flat, okay? And then D is on 5. Next note would be a D sharp or an E flat, and then your E is on 7. And then you have an F on, and remember looking at the piano keyboard, there's no black note between E and F, so that's why they're next to each other. Above F, there's an F sharp or a G flat. This is a G chord, a G note, not a chord. Okay. Above the G note is either a G sharp or an A flat. And then it's going to start all over again. Some of you guys have 12 frets to the body. That's all you need. I almost never play these notes down here because honestly, nobody needs that note in their life, and so we just don't use them. But you'll use 12. You'll use 12 on that A string once in a while. Okay. The other strings are basically going to follow the exact same program. Melissa, this is the information I needed. Okay. As soon as I go through the process of saying, hey, you don't need any of this, this is what people agree. This is what I needed. This is people think they need this. Okay. Especially those of you with previous musical knowledge, you know that you felt like, gosh, my piano teacher drilled into me the names of these notes. All right, next string up, everything follows the same suit. It's just they start at different places. So on string 1, and we started on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, right? That's where we started. But string 2 starts on E. Okay, then we have an F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, better known as B flat, B, there's a C right here, the D right here, and there's an E right up here. Okay, again, because you're on the 12th fret, it's the same as open. Okay, next string up, your 3rd string, same exact pattern, just you're starting on C instead. So you've got a C, and you have a D, E, F, G is on the 7, A is on here, 9, B is on 10, 11, and C is on 12. And then finally on the top string, same exact thing. G is open, A is here, B is here, C is here, D is here, E is right, is 2 up, F is here, and then G is at the end. Okay, so those, I didn't put the sharps and flats on here because it just took up too much room and it caused confusion. And so you only need to know where the whole notes are, right? The A's, the B's, the C's, the D's, the E's, the F's, the G's. And then if you have your piano memorized, you'll know that whatever's in between those two, if this is A and this is B, then this has to either be A sharp or B flat. And so if you are someone who feels like, gosh, I really do need to memorize my fretboard, I would just memorize where the main notes are, and then you'll know that if it's lower than that, it's a flat, and if it's higher than that, it's a sharp. And yeah, so fretboard, ukulele. Oh, okay, good. The thing that I know is that this is about the only time where I really talk about, hey, here are the notes, here's this, here's that. We do have a limited discussion of standard notation, and the reason that I keep away from that is that ukulele players, by and large, don't use any of that information because you don't really have to. There are, you know, people with classical training, like guitar people, mandolin people, they feel like, gosh, I really got to know where all my notes are in order to make sense of this. Now, I present it to those of you guys who need it, but really, if you are someone who's new to music, you really don't need that because we're going to do all numbers anyway. And once we get our numbers figured out, this is one, this is two, this is three, this is four, this is five. Once you get that figured out, once you find out this is string, the top string, middle string, you know, and then bottom string, once you figure that out, we're just going to be pointing to numbers saying, okay, play these numbers. And once you figure out that all those numbers are related to one another, then we're going to start talking about shapes. We always talk about shapes. And so I'm not discouraging you from learning standard notation. I am just telling you it is not necessary, but it is something that I know a lot of people with prior musical training really, really desperately feel like they need to have. So I'm trying to draw a balance here. Here's the stuff you need to know. You don't really need to know, but here it is. And by the way, we're going to use a system where you really honestly don't need to know that stuff. I have a friend who's played with me for many years, and she is now learning classical guitar, and plugging in, to the classical tradition of reading standard notation. And I keep asking her, "Well, is it better than tablature?" And it's not, by the way. And she says yes, as if she's being indoctrinated. And I think, well, what's better about it? Well, you can see everything. Well, can you? Here's what's important. If you hold this chord and write it out on standard notation, it is identical to this chord. Okay. Now those are very different sounding chords. There's this chord and there's this chord. Those are very different sounding chords, but on standard notation, they're identical. Tablature makes it very clear which one you're supposed to play, but on standard notation, it does not. And so I do think those of you with standard notation background, please know I get it. I will know that you want to be working on that stuff, but I also want you to know you don't have to work on it, and it has weaknesses as well. And so it's not like, oh, I will be a musician if I can read that. That's not true at all. All of the 300 years of lute playing, they never once used standard notation. Okay, lute was as big as guitar. Lute in the 17th century was as big as guitar is today. Everybody played it, and every everybody that could afford one. And so it was a big deal, and they didn't have standard notation back then. All right, I feel like I have to trim. Okay, and then Lynn says, where are the sharps and flats? So between, let's grab, let me see which would make the most sense. Grab, let's do the first line. You know your C note is right here, and then the D note is here. Okay, so there's this missing fret in the middle, right? Here's C and here's D. So this missing fret here, that's either going to be a C sharp or a D flat. That's where they live. Okay, so the sharps and flats are the black keys on the piano, and if you go up, it's a sharp, and if you come down, it's a flat. And so again, it's a rather awkward way of doing that, but it's the way it's done. And so when we are talking about sharps and flats, it's the note in between the whole note, or the white notes is a better way to put it. C is a white note, D is a white note. In between those two, there's this missing fret here, and that's a black note, and it's either C sharp or D flat. Yeah, so that's where they hang out. Let's see. Lynn says, was it an evolution from another instrument and they wanted more notes? Standard notation was developed primarily for orchestras. So because it was very difficult to make special music for each different type of instrument, they just made one set of music and handed it out. It was much less work to copy and all that stuff. And so standard notation is really designed for orchestras where we have a limited number of copies, and we don't write it out for every single instrument. We write out what we want the music to be, and then every single instrument adapts to that music. That's why if you are a piano player, you're in great shape. system was basically set up for pianists and orchestras and this type of stuff. It was really set up for that. The problem you get into with standard notation is when you play more than one instrument, it's different for every instrument. So when I grab a sheet that's on the notes that I need to play on this instrument, those notes are in a different place on guitar. They're in a different place on banjo. They're in a different place on mandolin. They're in a different place on piano. They're different place on the trumpet. So the weakness of that system, and it's a huge weakness, is if you're a multi-instrumentalist, every doggone instrument that you play, you have to relearn where all those notes are on here. And it's why tablature is really nice, because tablature is always the same no matter which instrument you grab. As long as it's a fretted instrument, once you've learned to read tablature, mandolin, banjo, ukulele, baritone ukulele, guitar, balalaika, all of these fretted instruments, the tablature is identical, and so you don't have to relearn all those instruments. Similar to with harmonica, where we have a tablature, it's just the numbers here. Blow in this hole. Yeah, there's actually standard notation that goes with it, but it's different from instrument to instrument. It's different from key to key on diatonic harmonicas, and so it's very exhausting to think about. Okay, I'm playing this instrument. That note happens to be here on this instrument, but it's over here on this instrument. That's where tablature plays a huge role. It's those of you guys that want to mess around with music and get good at lots of things. Tablature is far and away a better and more superior system for you. So yeah, that's the long story. That standard notation is important from an academic perspective and from a historical development perspective, but from somebody who just wants to play music, it's good for some instruments, but not so great for other instruments. This instrument, tablature, is by far the superior system. And tablature, of course, has its weaknesses too. You can't tell how long to hold a note. It doesn't even say that. And so you have to know how the song goes prior to tackling it on tablature. Otherwise, you're kind of guessing. There are obviously clues. Some things sound better than others, but you'd figure that out. Let's see. Evelyn says, thanks. Let's see. Lynn says, the question was, why are there black and white keys? Oh, why are there sharps and flats? Why aren't all the notes the same? That I don't think I know the answer to. There were lots of ways for them to develop the keyboard. I believe the black and white keys were just set up because they were easier to reach that way. So it was easier for your hand to play these notes and these notes. I think that's why black and white keys are set up the way they are. In terms of the mathematics behind it, what you do is you start with your string open, and then you cut it in half, and now you have an octave, and then you cut that in pieces. So you'll notice that the dots at 5, 7, and 10 actually mean something. So each of those is a mathematical division. Now, they could have called the notes anything. They could have called them Sam, Gary, John, and Frank, or they could have called them red, green, purple, and whatever. But the system they chose was, here's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Those will be the white keys. And then the black keys, we'll call those sharps or flats, depending on the situation. And I'm not an expert on the history of how that all played out. But by the time Bach was doing his work, it was well established at that point. So I believe the piano is set up as an ergonomic thing. They're very old pianos, for organs and harpsichord and stuff, and they're set up basically with that system where you've got some notes here, and then you can reach up and grab these other notes, and it's relatively easy to get to all of those. And so that's what I think I know about that. And of course, I'm always a little reticent to talk about that because I never, what I know from reading. I never took a college course in the history of standard notation, but yeah, I'm giving you a pretty broad overview of how it works and why it's important, why it's not so important on ukulele. But if you want to learn it and you want to learn standard notation, reading it for the ukulele, you can. There's just not a whole ton of point to it. Okay, I want to stop there with our discussion. The big takeaway here is you have some notes on here. They have names. If you want to learn them, that's awesome. I gave you the sheet to do that with, but you don't have to. The other takeaway from this is, hey, I can now play a C scale. And I would say warm up with that in the beginning. Notice I'm just using my thumb to play these strings. I could switch to index and middle fingers to make it more difficult. Whoops. Okay, that was good. I obviously need to work on that. But play your scales with these two fingers, then play your scales with three fingers, dun, 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 and then play it with um, doubling it up. And so you can mess around with your right hand, doing the same thing, just getting where your that scale sound is very comfortable, because those of you with singing in your background, you remember do re mi fa sol la ti do, and that's exactly what you're working on here, is that solfege. And it's part of our musical heritage, right? There's something that you need to know is out there. We have a system called tablature, which means you don't have to know any of that, but if you did, makes you a smarter person, makes you better looking. Um, and now let's go ahead and revisit what we did yesterday, just very briefly. I would like for you to pull this stuff out, just so we can make sure um, that some of what I taught you sunk in. Let's go grab out of that book. Let's go to page. First page I open up will be, let's do I've been working on the railroad. Let's go to page 9 on that piece of paper. Go grab your. So on page 9, you have, I've been working on the railroad. Now, what we do is when we're building a chord, so our first chord is A, what we're actually doing, we're taking the G string, turning it into an A string. And we're taking the C string and turning it into a C sharp. And now we have A, C sharp, E, A. That's an A chord. Okay? When we do a D chord, which is this chord, remember from yesterday, dun, 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 what we're doing is we're taking G, C, E, A, and then we're going to change this to an A, this to a D, this to an F sharp, and this two stays an A. Now I have a D chord. Okay, and when I do an E7, I'm going to take my G string and I'm going to turn it into a G sharp string. I'm going to take my C string, turn it into a D. I'm going to leave my E string open, and I'm going to turn this into a B string. So what I'm playing now is G sharp, D, E, and B. And that's an E7. Okay, and now we're ready to roll. Okay, I've been working on the bingo. Now we're not going to do bingo. Is bingo in here? I don't think I ever did bingo. Bingo. I hope you're. Let's see. Bingo. Let's see. There was a farmer had a. There was a farmer had a dog, and Bingo was his name. There was a farmer had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Oh, B-I-N-G-O, 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 and Bingo was his name. Oh. Sorry, I just sneezed into the microphone. I apologize. I probably blew your speakers out. Oh, you get chords now. Yay! Everything's solved. All right. All right. So A chord, dum. D chord, dum. E7, dum. A chord. 1, 2, ready, play. I've been working on the railroad all the live long day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away. Can't you hear the whistle blowing? Rise up so early in the morn. Can't you hear the captain shouting? Dinah, blow your horn. Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow your horn? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow your horn? Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. tremulo here. Let it ring, go. Strumming on the old banjo, singing fee-fi, fiddly-I-o, fee-fi, fiddly-I-o, ho, 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 fee-fi, fiddly-I-o. One more tremolo coming up in a minute. E7. Strumming on the old banjo. And on the last one, Eddie Van Halen finish, arm up. Okay, that's A chord, D chord, E7. Hopefully that's making sense. Today your homework is to get your C chord or your C scale together. And then do know, if you're a rock and roll guitarist, you're going to be working on that basic pattern, but you move it all the way up and down the neck. You do different scales, different keys. You'll do all sorts of different modes and that sort of stuff when you're studying your scales, because your idea is eventually I'm going to be able to just improvise and just play on the spot. Very few people ever get to that level, but that's why people study scales, is so that they then, if they get turned over to play a solo, you just start playing different notes out of the key and maybe adjusting them a little bit here and there. But overall, it comes out sounding like you're legit. All right. So tomorrow, very quickly, gotta get focused. What are we doing tomorrow? Tomorrow is our key of C strummer. So we get 4 more chords tomorrow: C, A minor, F, and G. Those are the ones most ukulele players or ukulele teachers start with. You're already seriously into heavy-duty instrumental play by the time I give them to you. And so your hands will fit around the G chord much more conveniently tomorrow. And then Friday, remember, we are going to be playing all of the stuff from the week. So we will play your Make It Better bar worksheet, print it out and look it over. We will be using all of the other stuff going along. Yesterday, we covered Alouetta, and the day before we covered After the Ball, I hope. I think we did. And so I'd like to tomorrow... well, we won't have time to play those tomorrow, but be working on those two as well. After the Ball and Alouetta will be played on Friday. So Friday we'll have quite a bit of music to get through. Frere Jacques, some of the songs out of this book, this key of C scale and the key of C strummers. So we've got lots going on, and hopefully learning a little bit every single day. So hopefully a light bulb here or there popping on. And we'll keep going until you are the legendary and very famous ukulele player. And if you'll just keep showing up, it'll happen. That's the key. Okay, you go home, practice a little bit, keep showing up here, staying safe and doing good for your community, whatever that looks like. And then also subscribing and liking my stuff. All those things are part of coming together and making sure that you can play everything in every possible way. So let's see. Ukulele learning, so much fun. Thanks for Professor Gary, right? Yeah, glad you were here. Glad it's exciting to see everybody showing up here on a daily basis. Love player measure 6 on Alouetta. If we have time this week, we're also going to talk about taking the circle of fifths and using that to convert Alouetta into other keys. And that in and of itself will make you a smarter musician. And a lot of times as ukulele players, we'll end up being an accompanist. We end up accompanying singers, and we want to be able to switch the chords to a different key if it doesn't fit their voice. And so we'll be covering some of that as well. Donna, good to see you. Bridget, good to see you. Nancy, what is on major 6 on Alouetta? I gotta look. Now I'm curious. What happens on major 6 on Alouetta? Major 6. Oh, j'entends plus marrer la tête. Dun, 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 dun. Isn't that great music? That's seriously awesome. Donna, we'll see you tomorrow. Melissa, hopefully I gave you something worth thinking about. And Vic, good to see you. All right, guys, I want to yank the plug. I will see you guys either next level ukulele starts in 8 minutes. So stop by that. I don't remember what we're playing today, but it's Harry Potter. We're killing Harry Potter. We're burying Harry Potter, and I'll see you guys there. Otherwise, baritones at an hour and a half, an hour from now, and then guitars after that. So come hang around and see what else we can talk about. Have a great afternoon, you guys. I'm gonna yank the stream. Mm-hmm.